is one that's difficult, and this is very much an Irish theme one. So, Andrew, I know you've had a look at this as well. This is about trans rights, okay, and this trans GAA player. It's the person on the right who's about to tackle a player from an opposing team. Now, it's at quite a low level of Gaelic football, local Gaelic football. And we see women's junior. Again, this went up online, and a lot of people say junior, it means children. No, in Ireland, we have grades. We have senior, which is the top level, intermediate, which is the second level, and in junior, which is for adult. It's all adult football. Okay, so now in Dublin, they will call it adult football. So adult division 1, 2, 3, 4, instead of the old way of senior, intermediate, and junior. So it's just a grade. It's not an age. This person is from Italy, has begun transition, moved to Dublin a couple of years ago, works with TikTok. And part of the thing that has been playing up has this kind of like titillation of, that she's also like works in fetish clubs. She's a DJ. She's this, that, and the other. Iseult, I'm going to start with you on this one. Is this a worrying situation?
I think we also need to factor in perhaps the photo. If we were to see her perhaps in drag or at this stage, like, because you've mentioned she performs in fetish clubs, or to see her perhaps in her day-to-day attire, we would probably be less, I suppose, stopping and going, oh my God, that's a man about to tackle a young girl. Because some of the girls on the junior team they were playing, I think their ages range from 16 up. So junior, even though it sounds like it's younger, it is, as you pointed out, adult football, but there are younger players who are good enough to make the junior team in any club that will play on it. I think the image really doesn't help matters. Now, I would also note I think she scored 5 goals and 7 points during the course of the game, which is
the Italian.
Yeah.
Holy moly. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I saw that online and I was trying, as I mentioned to you, trying to get onto the club site, but as you had pointed out, it seems to be fully gone, just for match reports. But I think the other issue here is optically, when you see that, you straight away go, what is happening? The difficulty is that the GAA at that level, it shouldn't be, it should almost be non-contact, but that doesn't optically change the position or make it any more confusing. If you have girls who are 16 who, if you're a late developer at 16 on another side, you're effectively playing against someone who has gone through puberty. He's quite a big individual, irrespective. And I think the here is, if they're the first team that have made a really, really open policy, and that's great, but you also need to be fair on opponents in that there isn't a league here. I'm not saying if you have a non-contact sport, my views when it comes to non-contact sports are different to my views of contact sports and the inclusion. But I think in this instance, optically, we can all see what the issue is. And I think the score in itself at the end, when he contributed, I think to 2/3, or she, I'm not sure if she's fully transitioned, so I'm jumping between the gender. Yeah. But I think the issue here is if there isn't a policy, what are teams?
Well, this is it. This is the thing, and this is something I bumped into myself within Europe as well, because of course we have male and female players training together. And it's funny because I remember Moscow Shamrocks, where some of the one footballer from Carlow was actually better than a lot of the guys, a female footballer. Now, the issue surrounding this is that there has been no policy put in place. There was never a need for a policy, but the LGFA, which is the Ladies Gaelic Football Association, which governs this in Ireland, they yesterday said we've put together like a task force to address it because they don't have policy. Andrew, we saw the whole situation in Penn State, wasn't it? With Leah Thomas. America is an awful lot more advanced in every sense in this situation, and for better for worse, they really seem to have at least addressed the problem, much better than, say, for example, Ireland or even in Europe.
Yeah, Leah Thomas has been the big discussion point here, a collegiate swimmer. But as Iseult said, contact swimming is quite different than, those contact sports, like Gaelic football or those. And so, and I would say probably that while it is a big discussion point here, I would say the contact sports are the ones where the policies have not been written yet. And I could see situations where this arises more at the adult level, because there's a lot more policies being written for school sports, for university level, high school level. And in a lot of those situations, in the US, every state is able to build their own set of policies and laws pertaining to those sorts of things. And a lot of them are banning transgender athletes from and that is a whole other discussion point. But it is a discussion point. It is a hot topic here in the United States right now. And like Esol said, those pictures are quite shocking, and it makes you take notice of it. And in our world today, and how we're working to provide more rights for these individuals, as we should, it needs to be, every board of every adult league needs to be sitting down and having the discussions about, what does this look like for us? How can we be inclusive, yet how can we also protect our athletes?
Cian, the joke used to be in Ireland that what you call a Monaghan man with an All-Ireland football winner's medal, and it was a transvestite or a transgender, because the Monaghan county women's team were extremely successful. Again, there's no fault on anyone's side here, because there is no regulations. There is kind of best practice being put into place. As Esol said, I mean, this person had an outstanding match. Do you think that just maybe, this will be sorted out, and at the moment it's a bit of a much ado about nothing?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a grey area, but it's definitely something that the GAA, the LGFA need to come together pretty quickly, and try and put a plan in place, because I'm sure there was parents on the sideline of the younger members of either of those sides, and there was probably questions throughout the game. There may have been questions at halftime. There may have been questions after the game. Was that quite right to have that particular person involved in the game, given that there's no actual regulations written down in the rule book at the moment?
Okay, I mean, I think we're very, very fair on it. So, I mean, we discussed a couple of weeks ago where the rugby league, I actually was asked last week, excuse me. I mean, we're talking about the photos and the titillation factor of this, and I'll show you. This is what they said. This is what this person does in their spare time and so on. And this is last year. For me, regardless of anything, that the person themselves, and we're speaking about this. This is why I mentioned about Alberto Tonino. This is the privacy level. Okay, this person's older, is more open. They said they're playing, for like competitive sports for 20 years or something. They're playing rugby as well. But at the same time, it's very, very hard to understand. And again, I mean, if you're a dad with a daughter, you're thinking, Christ, as Esol said, in a contact sport, you're going to put your child out there and they're going to get an absolute hammering. Just a quick round of houses on this one. Yes or no? Cian, will there be a day in, for example, Gaelic football or in soccer where there will be a sort of a like male, female, and I hate to say this, other?
With the way things are going, yes.
Okay, Esol?
My view is we'll end up seeing open categories rather than overall.
Other, yeah. When I say open, I said other. I should have said open.
Yes.
Excuse me. Thank you very much.
The category on its own, because I think.
Yeah, I didn't mean the people. I just meant another category, like Andrew.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think down the road we'll see in open categories where people will be able to go into how they feel and how they identify, and it'll be more open and more accepted.